you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ferguson City Council meeting. Meeting is now called to order. Let's stand for a silent prayer, and after the prayer, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and with the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilwoman Noah? Here. Councilwoman Griffin? Here. Councilwoman Burrow? Councilwoman Burrow? I believe she's here. I'll come back. Councilwoman Lipka? Here. Councilwoman Nelson? Here. Councilwoman Burrow?
Octavia skipped me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Robinette?
Here.
And then Mayor Jones?
Here. Okay, a quorum is present. At this time, we'll move to our public comment session. We have asked everyone to submit their comments on Monday, which was yesterday, before 5 p.m. And the Clerk Pittman will recognize you tonight for the public comments. Clerk Pittman, do we have anyone for the public comments?
I do. I have 4 speakers tonight. The first one is going to be Trayvon Walker.
Yes, ma'am. Clerk Pittman, if you don't mind, I'm going to be talking through my phone and my notes. So can you tell me can you still hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will start off with this. Good evening, council and community. First, I would like to thank council for my appointment to the personnel board, and I am excited to begin this work. Media literacy is becoming increasingly important in the age of mass information. As we are all aware, apps like TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram provide immeasurable amounts of information. Unfortunately, America is also in a time of mass misinformation. This is why I've chosen to bring to council's attention the need for Ferguson to be pioneers in Missouri in the movement toward combating misinformation. This starts with having media literacy be a requirement for all students in the Ferguson-Florissant School District. Media literacy can be defined as having the ability to identify different types of media and the political messages they are sending. The areas of media literacy include news outlets, social media, and blogging platforms. Many political groups and public figures choose to use their platform for misinformation. Our residents in Ferguson must be equipped with the skills to dispel falsehoods in media and build the skill of critical analysis. Today, I see many of my peers as a 22-year-old Black male getting into conspiracies with no fact behind them or becoming alienated to one side or the other. We must mitigate this by empowering our students and parents with the skills that they need. Gratefully, the state of Illinois has begun to combat misinformation by requiring students to take news literacy courses in efforts to provide the next generation with the tools needed for critical analysis. To council, thank you for your time. And to the community, I say cross-reference, double check, and question all that you read. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Karen Moody.
I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This is my first time being on the line with you guys, so I don't know if I need to read what I sent to you, Octavia, or do they have it in front of them?
Yes, they have been provided what you sent, but this is the time for you to go ahead and read what you sent or make your comments.
Okay. I wanted to make my comment about 247 Royce Drive. At this time, The owner have came back in town. The bushes was not trimmed. Limbs were laying out on the yard for about 3 years, and there was a lot of debris and everything like in the backyard, as well as 1210 Highmont. They had the same thing going on. I'm right in between both houses. But from my understanding, somebody have bought the house on 2427 Royce Drive. As far as 1210, the owner has came back and did some cleanup. That was my concern dealing with the area of the neighborhood. So I just kind of condensed it because I didn't want to read everything. So I just wanted to know and make you guys aware of what's going on in the area. I'm sorry, did someone say something?
No.
Okay. So that was my public concerns that I had sent. And I actually sent this information from my understanding to the wrong email. So I sent it to Octavia. She gave me the right email. So I wanted to thank you for that, Octavia.
Well, you're welcome. But I will also clarify for everyone that she submitted her complaint through the online portal. And in my conversation with staff, they have taken a look at it and they have opened up cases on both of the addresses submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Alan Miller.
Good evening, Council. I would like to start my comments tonight by announcing Proud's next event. On Wednesday, October 27, Proud, people reaching out for unity and diversity, will be hosting a discussion on the Ferguson City Charter and our city's system of government. It will clarify the roles of our city council, city manager, and staff. This is an encore presentation with a primary topic from our March event that was held in collaboration with the Confluence Scholars Strategy Network. Dr. Napoleon Williams III will once again be our featured speaker. This time, he will have the opportunity to provide us with a deeper investigation into the issues of city governance. Again, the Proud discussion will be held online on Wednesday, October 27 at 6:30. We hope to have the Zoom link available through the city's website, through Proud's website, www.proud-ferguson.org, and through our Facebook page. And we hope everyone can attend. The remainder of my comments tonight will be my personal statement. At the end of August, I attended the monthly meeting regarding the St. Louis County Equity Plan. I was surprised to find that Fire Chief Hampton was one of the featured presenters. Chief Hampton described the Ferguson Fire Department's initiative to increase diversity within the firehouse. I was very impressed by a number of points in Chief Hampton's presentation. First, it seems that the diversity initiative is being undertaken completely voluntarily by our fire department, a clear acknowledgement of the importance of diversity. Secondly, the department is seeking out a number of advisors and partners to ensure that they are properly responding to the issue. And lastly, I found it refreshing to hear that one of the department's biggest obstacles to achieving diversity is stability. Chief Hampton noted that people in the department, especially in senior positions, are happy with their jobs and stay with the department for much of their careers. There are very few vacancies to fill with new hires. I want to express my appreciation and thanks to Chief Hampton and the Ferguson Fire Department for their efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry. Last, we have Erica Brooks.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello to the city of Ferguson and to the taxpaying citizens of this community. I would like to review the unrecognized value of the low-income invisible troubles as Richard Rothstein, the author of The Making of Ferguson Public Policy at the Root of His Troubles, in the August 15, 2014 issue of the Economic Policy Institute, which realistically described the white community's perspective as the suburbanites' quest to create segregated policies to utilize the demographics of the presence of the African Americans for grants and to empower their neighborhoods and restrict them from the same, restrict them as an African Americans from the same benefits. I will discuss the demographics of Ferguson according to the 2020 census. And one thing you have to realize when you look at that census, it only recognizes the people that actually took the census and not the ones that are known as the invisibles or the displaced individuals and citizens who did not participate. And also, if you look at the median as far as the income, it has 40,000. And I want to know how many people in Ferguson, in my area, which is Plaza Heights, qualify for 40,000 as far as the income is concerned. Number two, where is the low-income invisible troubles, as Richard Rothstein put it, tax-paying African-American citizens from Ferguson fit in according to the census. One thing about it is if they're not recognized, we're not able to benefit from the opportunities like the Community Development Block Grant, such as things like the Promise Zone funding that comes through Ferguson, any other benefit that comes through Ferguson, because the people that did not choose to be recognized by taking the 2020 census cause themselves to be unaccounted for. But that doesn't mean, according to these maps that they have for the Promise Zone and the Community Development Block Grant, the rating of our streets and the low to moderate income maps do not, they very much represent us and show us that we are a part of the blighted community and we're low income, so we do qualify for the Community Block Grant. Also, I wanted to talk about the blight that's in our community over here in Plaza Heights, where we have a lot of vacant lots and abandoned homes, and that decreases the value of our community to the point where the city is putting more money into cutting grass, crime, sex trafficking, murders, and everything else that doesn't bring appreciation to our community. So we're spending the city's spending most of our money into depreciating events that don't cause us to be able to increase our value of our community. And so also, when it comes to the number of properties that are owned by the city that's here in our community, it brings the question, is the city adding to the blight of our community? So when it comes to the city buying these houses and buying these vacant lots, you need to consider what can be done in order to increase our value of our neighborhoods, while the other portion of Ferguson is being put on historical registries in order to be qualified for tax incentives to beautify and upgrade the value of their homes. So I say this here. Yes, Ferguson is a majority African-American citizens with a high percentage of low income, but this does not equate to a lack of contribution to the economy on all spectrums of the success of the city of Ferguson. Our money is green and it functions just like the suburbanites of Ferguson. We must be empowered with the local, state, and federal government benefits that we are duly qualified for according to the criteria: low income, blighted, and health hazard areas. We are not the troubles, but we are the foundation of the economic development of Ferguson. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Clerk Pittman, is there anyone else?
No, there's not.
Okay, thus end the public comments. The next item is our manager's report. We will hear from our new city manager, Eric Ostenberg. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just first note, I want to note the absence of Chief Hampton and Chief McCall. They are responding to an issue right now. They will try to join as soon as possible, but I will just be giving the COVID update on behalf of Hampton today, but will not be giving the community policing update on behalf of McCall. Again, I'm hopeful that they'll be joining us soon. So I will start with the COVID update. I didn't get to touch base with John, so the biggest thing to discuss, obviously, is President Biden's vaccine mandate. That is a mandate for employers, 100 employees or greater, to mandate vaccines or require testing, proof of negative testing. We are still waiting for the federal OSHA's rulemaking process to complete, so I can get a handle on that full rule, and then I will be reading through that and then making a decision based off of that, whether we're required to or have some sorts of exemptions about what we'll be doing for the employees at the city of Ferguson in the future, in the coming weeks. Moving on, I had the pleasure of attending the CRB yesterday night and meeting all of the wonderful faces on that group. It was really great to see how involved and how much those people on that group care about their community. So I look forward to hopefully being in touch with them more and hearing more about kind of their perspectives and seeing if we can't move forward in this consent decree. I also had the pleasure of meeting with the DOJ team for the first time earlier this week. And feel like we're off to a really good start with our relationship there. Moving on to the next item, what I wanted to talk to City Council tonight about is the upcoming ARPA funding. That's American Rescue Plan Act funds that will be coming. So kind of just going down the list, I'm going to just pull up my notes on my computer so I make sure I don't miss anything. So
Eric, can you refer to that again? What is it called?
It's called ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act.
Thank you.
So, no worries. So the American Rescue Plan Act, we will be receiving $3.7 million between now and the end of next year. So that funding, of approximately $4 million, will be delivered to the city in two tranches or two groups of funding. That first group of funding, we should be receiving towards the end of this month or mid next month. I actually just signed some forms to authorize our recipient of funding, a receipt of funding from the state for that. And then the second tranche of funding, again, that second group of funding, the remaining $2 million, we should be receiving this time next year. Now, I just want to kind of briefly go over some of the stipulations. So we will have to have expended those funds by the end of the calendar year 2024. So that's December 31st, 2024. Now, as of now, the Treasury Department has released something called an interim final rule. So I want to draw attention to the fact that it's interim final rule. So it's a final rule subject to change. How many times it will change, we will just have to. I will stay apprised and make sure that I'm updating council about that. So from what I know so far, the restrictions on the funding are as follows. First, we can use the funding to respond to public health needs. Second, we can use the funding to respond to economic damage from the pandemic, and that's specifically towards local businesses or people who are housed here in our community. Third, we can provide premium/hazard pay for our essential workers. Next, we can replace lost revenues based off of a calculation that I'm not going to go into great detail about, but essentially we measure our revenue the preceding year, before the pandemic started, and this past year, and we can make ourselves whole on that level. And then lastly, investing into water or broadband infrastructure. Now, again, just as a final caveat, again, these things are subject to change. What we saw with the CARES Act funding last year is as the time and as we approach this deadline of December 31st towards the end of this year, the federal government updated their rules, being a little less restrictive on how those funds will be used. So please look forward to a full presentation from me on ARPA funding next council meeting. One of the things we'll be talking about is the public engagement piece of utilizing these funds. The federal government guidance strongly encourages us to do town halls to decide how we're going to use this funding because it legitimizes the use of the funding, and it will make the federal government will be less under the microscope if we have done that public engagement process in the front end. So that's it for my ARPA funding. I have a couple of announcements. I will be starting my public office hours starting next Monday, and then every first and third Monday from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Here down at City Hall. I'm not at City Hall at the moment, but I will make sure that I have the time for anybody who wants to come and speak with me to speak with me during that time. Again, that is the first and third Monday starting next Monday of every month from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'll make sure that there's a post on our Facebook page and our website as well on my city manager's page, which should be going live by the end of the week here. So please look forward to that. And then on the last note, this kind of circles back around to COVID. With the pandemic continuing, with the Delta numbers going up, I wanted to ask City Council to maybe consider changing our public comment procedure to allow for people to show up at the meeting. And then we would just make sure as staff that we are giving everybody an equal amount of time of say 3 to 5 minutes. I think that I'm hearing from the public who has talked to me that they would like to be able to speak without the written statement ahead of time. And I think that we might be able to accommodate that and keep everything orderly, just so long as we're being consistent in, requiring that every comment be made under 3 or 5 minutes. And that's the end of my manager's update.
Okay, Councilwoman Lipka.
So 2 things. Just to let you know, in the city charter, we do already have it laid out as to how much time each person can talk, Mr. Osterberg. So
Okay.
if you haven't seen that in there yet, I would recommend you take a look at that, because we've had a lot of conversation back and forth over the years about the time limit. And so it is in there. And then we're not meeting in person right now. So are you saying that you would like people to have the opportunity to speak on Zoom? Because
Correct.
right now, so we are doing that. They can, they're requested to put in a written statement by Monday beforehand, but Mayor Jones, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we were also letting people speak up or read their own messages. I mean, I know we've done it both ways, and I think we've gone back to just the written thing turned in by Monday. But I know we had discussed the possibility of allowing people to speak as long as they signed up in the chat. And I know we talked about it briefly, and fleetingly, I should say, and then it kind of went back to the written statement. So I think there's a possibility there to create something new with you, Mr. Osterberg, but I will tell you the time limit's already in the charter. But what I had my hand up for was your meeting times, that your open hours are going to be the first and third Monday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. If a person can't make it, can they schedule a time with you for a phone call conversation?
Absolutely. I will remain open to the public. Otherwise, I have a pretty full calendar, but I will make time to meet with anybody at other times.
I just wanted people to know, I was pretty sure you were going to say yes to that, but I just want people to understand that if you're at work, you can't make it, or you can't come to City Hall. If you want to call, they could probably set a phone call appointment with you. Or at least send you an email. If they can't get into your office, send an email and have some time set aside one way or another in that regard. The other thing I was going to ask, is there, as you go forward, can you look into your calendar and see if there's any day of the week you could give evening hours just because people get off work?
Yes.
Okay. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lipka. Any other council member? Okay. Councilwoman Griffin?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Osterberg, I was just wondering if you had come up with a few dates or corresponded maybe with Octavia in terms of the schedule to see like what dates we would have available to do that public engagement that you were mentioning in regards to the American Rescue Plan Act, or at least like a time frame of when you were thinking, because I know the weather's going to start changing now, and I'm not sure how much time we have. So just wondering if you could provide any details on that.
Yeah, so I've not spoken with Octavia yet. I wanted to make sure that was the direction that all of council wanted to take, which is why I had mentioned that I wanted to be before you again at the next council meeting with kind of a more fully developed and more comprehensive overview of ARPA. As I mentioned, the interim final rule that's subject to change is about 40 pages, and it goes into very, very great detail about kind of the specifics of how the funding could be used. So I wanted to first start with kind of going over with council and giving you all a sense of what some of the uses of funding can be before we engage with the public, just so we're all on the same page about, the restrictions that the federal government have placed on the money.
Is there a possibility of sending us an email on that so we can read it over?
Yeah, I can send, tonight I will send out the interim final rule in its entirety.
Okay, then we're ready for your conversation if we've read it.
Okay, any other council member has questions for the city manager? If not, we are going to close the city manager's report. We are moving to our public hearings. Anyone that wanted to speak at the public hearings, we have at least 3 tonight. We ask that you would have gotten in contact with Clerk Pittman by Monday, September the 13th. If not, if you are still interested in speaking, you can use the raise hand featured on your computer. And we ask that you will give us your name and your contact information if you're willing to speak. At this time, we're doing our in consideration of a liquor license, and city manager, you have the floor.
You're on mute. There you go.
Sorry, I opened the screen to send that email real fast. Yes, so good evening, City Council. Tonight before you is for your consideration, the liquor license for Vibez Daiquiri Bar. There is some specifics that our staff member Elliot will speak to you about now.
Thank you, Eric. Mayor, members of council. Basically, here, okay, this is a little better. The applicant came to us about a month or 2 ago to apply for a liquor license. And because of the alcohol code, the liquor license code requires that any property within 300 feet of a school or a church, and as I note in my memorandum, it's 300 feet property line to property line, and this is called out in the code, not building to building. This it falls within the proximity of the high school that it was required. The public hearing notice was sent out on August 31st. The applicant has spent some time and is here tonight and can speak in further detail on this, talking to the neighbors and to the school. And at least as far as my office, we've received no indication of objection. I don't know if Octavia has received any comments or requests, objections, but I have not. And that is the sum total of my report.
Okay, thank you, Elliot. Are there any questions or comments from the council?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I would like to know, first of all, why this is even coming before us when the law states that this should not be within 300 feet of a school, and this is 30 feet away from the property line. Now, I understand it's 420 feet away from the building, but that's not enough. This is breaking a rule. I don't even think it should be before us. I honestly think that this is a situation whereas a community that wants to welcome businesses, we tell them up front, hey, that's a great idea. We could make a business here for you, but unfortunately that location will not work. So we need to help you find a better location. And that's what I think we should be doing here. I have real issues with this. We have a high school, we have a church, we have an elementary school, all within walking distance. I think that we are doing a disservice to this business owner by giving them false hope. And we should have done a better job as a city to say to them, this doesn't follow the code and you need to find a better location, and we're happy to help you find a better location. So I would like to know why it even came before us. I want to know why they're working on the building before they even have the special use permit. And I want to know, did we offer them other locations? Because it should have been offered. So there's 3 questions there.
Elliot, would you like to answer Councilwoman Lipka?
Well, in response to the first question, the code reads that the council, they can't do it unless the council determines in writing and after a hearing. So as I read it, the hearing is triggered almost automatically. We can't say, no, you can't be there. Council can vote it down, but we can't say, no, you can't go there unless and until they've had the hearing and the council's voted otherwise. And I'm sorry, the second question, as far as working, they are aware that anything and let me say first, this is not a special use permit. This is a liquor license. This is use, but for this issue of proximity to a church would be allowed by right. So I just want to make that clear. They also are fully aware that anything that requires a building permit, any structural work cannot be done until this would have been approved. And as far as offering other locations, they came to us and we discussed other potential places, but they chose to come to this location. And, the applicant can speak more about that. We've had a number of conversations about this, including several before this was brought up at the last council meeting. And that's the extent of what we can say in response.
Well, I will also say that, I read the council packet and there was a comment in there that the potential owner had spoke with some of the staff at the high school. I'm part of the program, the 2+2 program. I called our school board representatives. I called our school board superintendent and spoke with the secretary. And the very first thing she said is the staff doesn't make those decisions. The school board does. And it has not been brought to their attention officially. And it has not been brought to them to be voted on as well. So, as far as, you made the comment that she's talked to the neighbors around her and she's talked to the school. That's great. I appreciate that. But the school board makes that decision in regards to whether or not they want to support a bar that's right next to their school. And they have not had that discussion. They have not. And I don't think it's going to be a positive from my understanding with the discussions I have had with them. But I was hoping one of them would be here today, and they may well be. But I will just say that that is an area that I think if we're even going to consider this, we as council members should have some input that we have directly received from the school board as well.
Okay, we do have a school board member present. However, Councilwoman Fran Griffin had her hand up. We're still speaking with the council, and Councilwoman Heather Robinette has her hand up. So Councilwoman Griffin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention that, we have talked about the issue of liquor licenses being within so many feet of schools and churches. And we've had that conversation prior to, we've talked, we actually grandfathered some that were still there along West Florissant when the Boys and Girls Club first got put up. And so I actually agree. You know, I understand the necessity to bring it in front of council, but we absolutely need to figure out a preventative way of, you know, people purchase. I mean, anybody has the right to purchase a business, but there should be something early on that signals the city that, so that we can, one, ensure that we can get, you know, someone who's interested in putting a business in our community, a space where they can actually be in alignment with the ordinance that we create. Secondly, I absolutely am completely against putting a liquor store that close to not just one, two schools. We have
Right.
two schools there, church there. You know, this goes against everything that we're trying to put in place in terms of making things unilateral and fair. And so my vote in this matter would be definitely against it. I just wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Robinette.
Thank you, Mayor. I think both councilwomen before me expressed a lot of my views. You know, I just want to caution everybody that, you know, when you open the door for something like this, you can't close it. So the next business that comes along, there's precedent being set and you can't go back easily. I really think it's unfortunate for a business to actually purchase a location without being told ahead of time that there's a likelihood that this won't work for you. I mean, we've had a couple instances with business owners where that's the unfortunate outcome. Once it all played out, it wasn't going to work for the business to be in that location. So while I feel bad for the business owner, if they've already purchased it and they're already working on it, I am strongly, I mean, that's right next to my son's school. So this is not something that I want that close to school or church, or, you know, there are plenty of vacant locations within Ferguson that we can support a business owner elsewhere without being so close to a church and a school. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands from the council. Clerk Pittman, has anyone submitted in writing to speak or have their hand up to speak in this public hearing?
Yes, I have a Letisa Clay.
Yes, good evening, council members. I had my concern is the distance, and as Councilwoman Robinette and, everyone else has stated, my fear is that, okay, once we say that it's okay for this particular business to have this liquor license, if they close, then will another business be grandfathered in that type of way? So and if we want to keep our community to a certain level, why would we continue to allow certain businesses to bring certain types of crowds and different things of that nature to our community, and then give a reason for a high schooler to go over, walk down the street to that location, just because they may not card them, they may not, it's just so many different things. And it's just a worry that you continue to allow certain businesses that bring that type of crowd. When you go down in the downtown district, we have 4 other locations that have liquor licenses that, are night, spots that people go to. So why do we need another one? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the only one I have submitted in advance. On the screen, I'll go through those in the order that I see them with the hand raised. So first I have Father Eric Olson.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Father Eric Olson. I'm the pastor at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church and School. So we are one of the schools in question. I don't know our exact measurement, but I mean, we're right across the street from the high school. I just want to second what I've heard the councilwomen say before me. I don't think this is good for our community. There's a reason why we have these kinds of ordinances in place. These are a vulnerable population, our youth, and I think it gives just a bad opportunity for troubles to occur. I think we're just inviting trouble, and it's nothing against the business. It's nothing against drinking alcohol, but I just, it's not the right place, right by a high school and a grade school and church.
Okay. Thank you. Next, I have Sheila Powell Walker.
Good evening, Mayor Jones and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I serve on the Ferguson Florissant School Board, and I did want to make a few comments about this issue, but I wanted to make it clear that I speak for myself, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the entire board. The other 6 members certainly might have some other opinions. I wanted to formally object to the issuance of the liquor license. I realize that it is a source of revenue for the community, but I have some concern about the proximity of the location to our school and of course the other school that has just been noted. A couple of things that I have thought about is that people may tend to discard liquor containers near the property. So it creates an issue with our community not looking as clean as we would like it to look. Also, the sale of alcohol may attract people who may contribute to an unsafe environment for our children. Now, we recognize that not all people who drink alcohol become unsafe in their behavior, but we certainly know that there are some people that do. We also do have other local establishments that sell liquor, so do we really need another? And then also just wanted to note that having this kind of an establishment also potentially increases the access to alcoholic beverages for our youth. I looked up a little bit, part of the work that we try to do in the district is reduce or eliminate risk for this kind of thing, our children getting into behaviors like drinking. And so I wasn't able to pull the current data, but in the state of Missouri in 2018, 149,000 youth between the ages of 12 and 20 consumed alcohol. 7,000 of them were 12 to 14 and 42,000 of them were 15 to 17 years old. Now, having this establishment open up does not automatically guarantee that students would decide that they want to drink, but it does, create another potential opportunity. It puts something very close to the school. So we are committed to building healthy, safe, strong communities, and we would appreciate the council's support in not issuing this liquor license. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, I have Nick Kassoff.
Yes, good evening. And I just want to say I am the parent of a child who attends the STEAM Middle School at McClure South Berkeley. And I want to also express my opposition. That bar might be 400 feet away from the building, but it's right across the street from the athletic field. So anytime the school would utilize the athletic field for an activity, the bar is going to be 30 feet away. So I don't take any comfort in the fact that the school's all the way up the hill when the kids are going to be outside engaging in those outdoors activities and be 30 feet away from a bar. So everybody else has pretty much said it all, but yeah, I really hope the council will vote this one down.
Okay, that is let me check really quick, the last public hand raised that I see. Yes.
Okay.
No, it is not.
That's the last hand raised. Okay, at this time, we are closed to public comment. we closing the public hearing. The hearing is closed.
I will, if I can interrupt you, Mayor, real quick.
Okay.
Councilwoman Lipka, is this a new hand raise or were you up from before?
No, it's a new hand raise.
Oh, okay.
No, I just wanted, if the potential owner is still on the line, I just want this owner to know that I'm speaking for myself, but I don't think we as a city council are very encouraging of new businesses to come to our community. And, you know, there's a very popular trend right now going around the nation with daiquiri bars and things like that. And there's been quite a bit of success in that trending new area of entrepreneurship. So this is not the right location, in my opinion, but your idea and your concept could do very well in other parts of our city. So please do not feel like we're not saying, we're telling you to leave or anything like that. We're not. We are simply saying that this is a great concept and I hope you will embrace it in a different location.
May I speak or do I have to wait?
You can speak.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Amelia Woods. I kind of want to introduce myself and introduce our business and also answer some of the public concerns as well. So Vibe Daiquiri Bar is a new business that we want to bring to Ferguson. The product and service that we're offering are frozen daiquiris, ice cream, and a positive study environment for the college students. Vibe Daiquiri Bar is similar to the Island, Trops, and Narwhals. Giving a business to Ferguson would be helpful because it would build a sense of community, opportunities, and give back. Not only generate tax revenue, but also we would like to create partnerships to give back to the youth. The business endeavor would increase tax base, local jobs, innovation and competition, diversity, and so much more. And when we had first got the building, we would have never signed the lease had we known that the proximity of everything. We called, we spoke to the City Hall of Ferguson, and they gave us the code and the approval and said that it was approved for a liquor license. We talked to state, we talked to county. They said as long as it's more than, if I'm not mistaken, 350 feet from door to door, we can be granted a liquor license. We have our liquor license approved from the state of Missouri and also for the county. We do not plan to be open during school hours. We plan on carding everyone that comes in. There will be a dress code. And I think it's kind of, as everyone is looking at our business to be a place that's bringing the wrong crowd. That's not the crowd we're going for. You have to be a certain age limit to come and buy a drink and everything. As far as the field, like I said, once again, we don't plan on being open during school hours, nor do we plan on being open 7 days a week. It's just a place where we want to sell frozen daiquiris. And like I said, we did all our homework. We talked to who all we need to talk to, and they gave us the approval and said we're not. And also I did speak to the school. I have emails, by the way. They said I would have to speak to Anya Holman. She's a communications director. And she called me from her phone personally. And she told me, congratulations, welcome. And she said, by there being a school, they can't put their stamp on anything, but they say they have never heard us having to get approval from them. Everyone that we talked to in our neighborhood, they welcomed us. And also we heard that the location that we had got used to be a bar. And not only that, there are a lot of liquor stores around, even from the church. The guy that was speaking is a CBD store, probably 100 feet away from the church and school. And we're not selling hard liquor or anything. It's just frozen drinks.
So Mayor Jones, you're looking kind of confused like I am. Where is a CBD store near there? Because the only CBD we have is Greenlight, correct, Mayor?
It's Greenlight, and
yeah,
the place of business which she's opening, last time I remember, it was a hair salon.
It's always been a hair salon, Mayor. It's been a grabber.
That's the last time I remember it was a hair salon.
Yeah, it's never been anything but that. And go ahead, Mayor. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just concerned that ma'am, that you're saying that City Hall told you had this approved. I mean, if that is the case, I would like to know who told you that, because That is not the case. I mean, there is an ordinance, there is an.
I didn't sign the lease. I would have never.
Excuse me, please let Councilwoman Linda Lipka get finished and I'll recognize you because we can sing together, but we both can't talk together, okay?
So all I'm saying is that this is exactly what I'm concerned about. And I see my fellow councilwoman, Ms. Griffin, she's shaking her head too. We want businesses here. I think your concept is a great concept. The two businesses you referred to are doing phenomenally well throughout the St. Louis area. But there is an ordinance that was already in place. That's why I don't even know why it was brought to us, because quite honestly, it should have been told to you from the moment you walked in City Hall that there is an ordinance that no liquor license can be within 300 feet of a school and the property line is 30 feet. The two businesses across the street were grandfathered in. They were there before the school was even built. But this particular situation, as it stands now, I feel from what you're telling me and what little I know just from this phone conversation, that you were misled a bit, because this is something that really concerns me in that regard. Because I own a business too. And if I invested money thinking that I had all the approvals and then found out I didn't, I would be a little ticked off. So I'm not sure what happened, but as a council member who's elected to speak for my citizens, I've talked to the school board members. I've talked to some people at the school board administration building. They didn't know about this. So whoever you're talking to, I appreciate that. And that just shows me that you did do your due diligence, but I'm just really concerned at the things that fell through the cracks and how it can affect this situation. But as an elected official and listening to the citizens, I personally cannot approve a liquor license in that location. I will be happy to approve it in an approved location because I would definitely enjoy to see your business. But even the fact that it's kind of a mixed message with daiquiri and ice cream, I mean, that kind of sounds, it confuses me as a consumer. You're not selling to the kids, or you are having things there that appeal to kids? Those are things that would concern me. If you're pulling in too many customer bases into the front door based on the things you offer, and your cross offerings are the ones we're concerned about, being the alcoholic and I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, Amelia, you can have the floor to speak, then Councilwoman Fran Griffin, and we'll move on.
Okay, and yes, so Ms. Linda, this is my question to you. If you went and, like you said, you would be highly upset if someone told you got a property and someone told you it was zoned for, and that's what I'm telling you. All I'm saying, if we did our due diligence and did everything that we're supposed to do, and we were told that that particular place was zoned for that before we signed the lease, before we paid any money, we triple checked, went to City Hall and everything, and we was told that we have to go against the council because we're close by a school, and that's not the final say so.
We are the final.
Because he said it wouldn't be the final say. It would be because we have to go against the council. What I'm saying is this: I feel like due to the fact that we were told the incorrect information, I feel like we should not have to leave. I feel like we should be granted our liquor license for the fact that we were told the incorrect information. Because before we signed that lease and paid our money, we were told that that particular place was zoned for that. We had other options that we could have taken, but we were told that there was a place that was zoned for because it has to be more than 300 feet. And state also told us from door to door is over 3,000 feet. It's from door to door. We was never told from field or to nothing. We was told from front door to front door. And we also was told, since there were other liquor licenses in close proximity, then that you guys could grant us a special liquor license.
Okay, thank you. At this time, our city manager has his hand up. Councilwoman Griffin, would you yield to the city manager?
Yes.
Okay. City manager.
Yeah, so I just wanted to address the applicant. I spoke with our staff, and it was brought to my attention that they they might have told you that that the zoning would cover for a liquor license, that was still a process that you would have to go through. And it's my understanding that our municipal code permits us as staff to bring before council a liquor license, even if it's in a shorter distance than the 300 feet. So we went ahead and did that just to give you the opportunity to make your case in front of council.
Okay. Thank you, City Manager. Councilwoman Griffin, you still would like to speak?
No, that was actually going to be my question, to make sure that we're following up and make sure that we're putting some kind of protocol in place so that we can prevent this from happening moving forward, because it is an ordinance. And I definitely understand where the business owner is coming from, but I most definitely understand where the community is coming from. And, my mindset is just because, we've got them all over. As a community, we are trying to clean our area up. We're trying to put friendly, healthy businesses in here that are going to continue to flourish in spaces where we feel like it's best for them to be in there. And as far as my personal opinion, it's not supposed to be anywhere in a space that's close to, and I agree with the ice cream would definitely draw some high school kids. As soon as they get out of school, the first thing they do is walk to the gas station to get some snacks. So it wouldn't be uncommon for them to look and see an ice cream place and think that they can go in there and do the same exact thing. So that's just the concern. And I know it's our responsibility as, council to review this type of information. So I appreciate the transparency, but I definitely feel like we need to have some kind of protocol to when businesses like this come in and they say, prior to the liquor license request. I mean, even with the wordage, not necessarily that it has been approved, but there is a process, but there is no guarantee that a liquor license would be permitted in a situation like that because there is an ordinance. And that's what the question I was going to ask from the business owner was, at any point in time, did any one of our staff members explain to you that we had an ordinance? Because although St. Louis County and the state have requirements, as a city, as a smaller municipality, we are able to go even further with the requirements. We can't override them, but we can definitely be more specific about our parameters and what we want. And so that would be my question to the owner, was at any point in time, did anyone make you aware that there was an ordinance within the city of Ferguson that existed that talked about the space and the distance between the churches and the schools?
Yes, ma'am. I was actually told there are 3 different ordinances. They told me it was state, they told me it's county, and then they told me it's the actual city. So they did tell me, but also they said, even though there are different ordinances, there are general rules as well that takes place in all 3 of them. And like the same, as far as it's a lot of similar protocols, and the applications were similar as well. But I feel like that's not, to me, I feel like that's not the question that should be asked. The question that should be asked is, why was I told that that place was zoned for that if it was not zoned for that? That's the whole reason why I went to City Hall, and I spoke with everyone, and I asked them, and I was told that it was zoned for that by a few people. And I double checked, I triple checked, I went up there, because this not my first business as well. So, so I know what to go, the loopholes and everything to go through. And they were told, and I said, "You sure?" before I signed the lease. Yes, but by being by school, you just have to sit in front of council and tell them your ideas and stuff like that. That's what I was told. I would have to introduce my business. But had I known, I would have never signed a lease, and I would have never paid my money. That's all I'm saying.
Mayor Jones, can we ask Elliot to respond to the zoning?
Elliott, Councilwoman Lipka would like you to respond.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Lipka. I spoke with Ms. Woods as far back as July 9th, and I made it very clear that this was require a hearing. I did not say it was guaranteed. I said that there was this base zoning would allow a liquor license, but that because it was within 300 feet of a school, she would require a hearing. At no point did I say it was guaranteed. I said she had a shot. I said she needed to communicate with everyone. I did not, and I want to be clear on this, say that this was a guaranteed thing. Now, could I have assumed that this would be the reaction and indicated as such? Yeah, and I did not do that, and I will take full accountability for that. But at no point did I say, yeah, this is fine, you just have to go to council. I said, no, you have to, this is within 300 feet of a church or a school. It requires a hearing, and that was, I have notes in my files from July 9th, which is when, as far back as when I said that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. If there isn't anything else, we are going to close the public hearing. It is now closed. The next public hearing we have in consideration of a special use permit. City Manager, you have the floor.
The next item is also going to be taken care of by Elliot. This is about a special use permit related to a barber shop downtown. Elliot?
Thank you. Mayor, members of council, this is in the same area. This is the former Letitia's Salon at 1028 South Florissant. The applicant approached us to put in a barber shop, and as you know, the code for the downtown form-based districts has a numerical limitation of only one beauty shop or salon or barber shop in any downtown sub-district. The question came up, and this was discussed at Plan Commission, whether or not a barber shop and a salon were one specific use category, in which case you could only have one or the other, or if they were distinct categories, so you could have one and one of each. And it was determined by the commission in discussion with the city attorney at the time, Mr. Harding, that this was a distinct and separate category so that it could be allowed. And it was noted that in addition to that, there are no barber shops downtown. There was a question raised about in the Plan Commission review about the salon Fierce Shears next door, whether or not that was a barber shop in whole or in part. And I have spoken with the owner of the salon, and I have spoken with the owner of the proposed barbershop, and I believe the owner of the barbershop is here this evening on the call. And they have both indicated that they are not the same thing, that the salon deals with salon type customers, and if you'll excuse the bluntness, that they deal with primarily female clients, and the barbershop just does haircuts and deals with primarily, in the applicant's words, 95% male clients. And if you look at the screenshot of the Facebook page of the salon that I sent you, yep, right there, all her customers except one who I can't tell every single photo on that page is of a girl or of a woman. So based on all of that, the Plan Commission and the attorney and our staff all felt that this is a separate class subcategory from beauty salons, and that it was justified being brought forward, and therefore we bring it to you this evening. As I said, the applicant should be on the call this evening, and he can answer any other questions on his behalf. The only other thing that I would say is that, you know, he's going to, if approved, he will reuse the sign pole that you all just allow with the previous. But beyond that, I have nothing more to add, and that ends my report.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got to raise my hand.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the council? Councilwoman Lipka.
I think Councilwoman Robinette was first.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a question, if we're calling this out as a separate entity or a separate use where barbershop is different from a salon, what's going to be the number there? Like we have a cap on per, like, I don't know if it's district or blocks or whatever within a specific area. If we allow a barbershop as a separate entity, does that then open up for additional barbershops because they're separate?
Yes, in each sub-district, it would be one in each. So the same rule would apply.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Lipka and then Councilwoman Noah.
Councilwoman Noah, did you have your hand up before me?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay, so so we're talking about the districts, like the District 1, District 2, District 3, the things like that. So
Yes.
when we make this ruling, so to speak, for lack of a better phrase, are we then going to adjust everything correctly so that it reflects this decision made? Because if we're going to give this special use permit and you're saying that now we've opened ourselves up to repeat this opportunity in the different districts, is that going to then be a change to the business plan as a whole officially? Am I making sense? Okay, let me try again. Currently, the way it's written, and the reason we had to question it is because we can only have so many salons in a business district, and it's in one of the different sections of our business district, right?
Right.
Okay, now we've determined that a salon is different than a barber shop, and by determining that, we have allowed the opportunity for a special use permit to allow him to open because we have, in essence, said it's a different type of business, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So far.
Okay, so once this goes through, let's say it passes and let's say it all goes through, now we have to reflect this decision in all the other districts. So what document needs to be changed to reflect this new definition of this type of business within each section of the district?
Well, if you want to have it documented, we could amend the code, because this is a zoning code. This stems from the zoning code. And that way it would be there for all future decisions and future staff, as opposed to just, well, it's been approved and it's in the minutes. So future staff should just know to go to the minutes. So that's where it would be. And since, we're talking about revising the zoning code in its entirety in the coming months anyway, the opportunity would be there.
Well, then I would request as a council member to you to make a note of this, because I think we have to start making sure that when we do these special use permits, where it's appropriate, we need to start going across the board, or we need to, when we're doing a definition like this, I don't want to be a blanket statement, because a special use is exactly what it is, a special use. But when we're using it to create a new definition, then that definition, I think, needs to be notated so that it is fair across the board in the different areas. And the other question I had is the salon. I went over there and drove by. So this is the old Letitia's location, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the salon you're referring to, where is that? I drove up and down the street. I couldn't find it.
It is right next to RJ's, the former RJ's car wash.
Oh, I must have been looking I was looking like right around the building, and I drove behind it and found a daycare and everything else, but okay. Is it in a home, kind of like a?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's why I missed it. Okay.
And
But yeah,
they're not off, they're open odd hours. I mean, they're not 8 to 5 every day.
well, we get a salon right next to a barber shop. We might want to put in a little wedding chapel in the middle. You just never know.
Thank you.
Well, they'll need a DJ if they do that.
Yeah.
Always working for
Councilwoman-
business.
Really, Councilwoman Noah?
Just real quick, just to clarify. So the barber shop will strictly just cut hair. There will be no hairdresser in the barber shop.
Correct.
They're just going to cut hair. That's it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The owner is here if he'd like to speak.
Do you like my idea of a wedding chapel?
Elliot, is he here?
Let me see. He said he was coming.
I saw him earlier.
I don't see him unless he's got his noted
Is
by
it
his
Terry Tyson?
No, it's Kevin Rhodes.
Okay.
Thought I saw him too. Okay, we're going to go forward. Clerk Pittman, has anyone submitted comments, or is there anyone who would like to speak with the hand raised?
I don't have any comments. And I'm looking and I do not have any raised hands either.
Okay, and the owner, I don't think we see him. Okay, I am going to close the public hearing on the consideration of a special use permit. The next public hearing is 2022 Community Development Block Grant, the CDBG. City Manager, you have the floor.
Yes, well, I'm just going to go ahead and pass that off to Don Boyce, our Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. For those that are on the call that are not aware of the Community Development Block Grant, it's one of the longest running programs in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The funds can be used for community development, affordable housing, anti-poverty programs, and infrastructure development. Just as we have in previous years, we have elected to use the fund for infrastructure improvement with our streets in the city of Ferguson. I did send out a map with the eligible streets for the CDBG grant. And as of right now, based off the information that, as far as from citizens' concerns, that like the streets that we get the most frequent calls about, like we elected to take a look at Northwinds, Highmont, Elkin, Ruggles, and Marguerite. Now, with this grant, it's we're awarded $155,000 $355,000, I'm sorry. So as you all may know, that's not, our streets are an issue in Ferguson. And just like the city manager spoke on earlier, he and I actually met about the possibility of trying to find more funds to repair our streets in the city of Ferguson. Now, with this particular grant, again, there are a selected amount of streets that we could possibly divide up and repair potholes, sinkholes, possibly replace some slabs too as well. And that's basically it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay. Council questions. Councilwoman Phaedra Nelson has her hand up, and Councilwoman Noor has her hand up, and Councilwoman Griffin. We will go in that order.
Thank you, Mayor. So Don, I guess, I know we've been kind of going back and forth in emails, and I just want some clarification on the street Elkin, because I was saying Elkins, and it looks like, judging from the map, there's an Elkin Street.
Correct. That's highlighted in the streets in the map that I sent you. The streets that are highlighted in that green area, those are the eligible streets.
So the street Elkins is not one of the streets that's eligible, is what we're saying.
Yes, ma'am. That's based off of the eligible street that they declare eligible for that particular grant. Now, I'm not saying that we can't take a look at Elkins and repair any potholes, sinkholes on that possible street. I am collecting all the streets that have been recommended outside of the CDBG grant, and at a later date, we will take a look at those streets too as well.
And Councilwoman Nelson.
Yes.
I was gonna say, in our ward, Woodwind is in that green area.
I know, that's what I was just gonna ask him, Linda.
Yeah, I put that in.
I put Woodwind as well
request.
when I got the email today. I put Woodwind. So,
yeah, so
is that not an option, Don?
That's an option too as well. That's why we wanted to have this public hearing to have a discussion. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
So it will be able to go on the list is what I'm just want to be clarified.
Yes, I can.
Judging from the map, Woodwind is in the green. Woodwine is in the green. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem.
Councilwoman Noor.
Don, so just to make sure that I heard you right, because on the list it states Dupree. Dupree is one of the streets. It's on the list, but I didn't hear you say it.
Yes, we are looking at Dupree too as well. Well, here's the issue that I'm having with 155,000. There's only so much that when you talk about street repair, there's only so much that we can possibly do. Some of our streets need to be completely reconstructed, okay? And so it's almost like putting a Band-Aid on some of our streets at this point. So yes, it's one of the eligible streets. Yes, to answer your question, yes.
Okay, like I said, I just asked because it's on the email, but I didn't hear you say it. So I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, Councilwoman Griffin.
Thank you, Mayor Jones.
I definitely feel like we should be coming up with a long-term plan for addressing all of our streets.
Yes, ma'am.
At this point, I understand $155,000 doesn't go far, neither does $321,000. And I understand the city's budget.
in terms of what we can allocate, but I definitely feel like, when you're short on money, the best thing to do is set up payment arrangements. So I would suggest us looking at the CIP and figuring out what we can address each year in terms of our streets so that we can get them finished. And I would definitely start with the ones that are most damaged in terms of the ratings that we've already, got in terms of, what needs to be repaired. And that's something that I would be interested in working on. And also, I know Mr. Osterberg mentioned that the American Rescue Plan hasn't, we still waiting on like the final information. But I was also, I'm just thinking in terms of public safety, what you mentioned, Mr. Osterberg, that does create a public safety issue. We hear it all the time from our residents, about how when they're driving and they might hit a pothole and before you know it, their tire is busted or they're stuck in a hole and, and that does a lot of damage to our public. So I'm hoping, it is my hope that we'll be also able to kind of look at what we're able to do in terms of adding to the budget for street repair and getting some of those street done by looking at, the money that we do have that we know is going to be coming in. So I just kind of wanted to put that, out there and maybe we can be proactive and kind of just know, let's start figuring out what we can do little by little to start taking care of these streets.
Yes, ma'am. And I just wanted to say this also, that the streets that we focused on as far as with the CDBG, the ratings on those streets based off the engineer ratings that we received, they are some of our streets that need attention right away. So again, with 155,000, it's very hard to, divide that up amongst the streets that, that need attention immediately.
No, I most definitely understand. That's why my suggestion is us putting in a long-term plan for achieving our goals over time, because it's one thing to sit down and figure out a plan of doing it for the whole entire city versus if we just look at this and break it up into sections and little by little get it done, eventually, we will have progress and we'll be able to maneuver it within the budget to be able to address those concerns.
Yes.
So you're saying eat the elephant one bite at a time, right, Fran?
Hey, what other choice do we have, honestly, Linda, other than let's put it out there and say, what do the people say about putting a tax to be able to do it and, to be able to actually address it all together. And, we're going to get pushback on it either way. So I'm just saying, like, we do have options of addressing it. And, it's up to us as a community as to, what we're going to ultimately do. But I do think like some type of long-term plan needs to be created.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilwoman Linda Lipka, then Councilwoman Robinette, and we'll hear from our city manager, and then we'll go into the community portion of the public hearing.
So, Mr. Boyce, what I wanted to ask you, kind of going on, piggybacking off of Councilwoman Nelson. So we have the Woodwind in the dark green, which means it does qualify for the CDBG money. But what I want to just clarify so people who are listening and I want to make sure I'm correct too. So these are all the streets in the dark green, all the streets that are eligible, but there is absolutely no way we can do all of them. So now you got to go and you've got to look at the streets that are eligible and say, now who's the 10th, who's number 10 in the worst situation, who's number 9 in the worst situation, down to, the least situation, a ranking of 1 or whatever. Now, the other question I have is when you and I and John Hampton met out there in the Ferguson Woods area, and we put those things out on the streets to get the traffic count on Woodwind, was that was for this particular to make this what is the word I'm looking for, to make this eligible into the CDBG program, or was that something completely different? Because if that's something different and we did receive eligibility to be worked on, would we want to then, as Ward 1 representatives, would it be smarter for Councilwoman Nelson and I to ask you to focus on some of our other streets if we know that Woodwin's going to get worked on through a different project?
Yes. So when we put down the street counters, that was for the STP project.
Okay, I knew it was another set of initials.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. So, and the decision has not been announced just yet to see if it does qualify for the STP program.
So if we do get the STP program, we've effectively taken care of Woodwin, and then
Correct.
whatever CDBG money, you know, we do have, Councilwoman Nelson and I both have quite a few streets in the dark green that are in the Forestwood area, which I know I get a lot of phone calls from those neighbors over there in the Forestwood area with those roads. And then the other thing is, when we do improve these streets, I just want to hear you say it again, we're also going to put in some traffic calming techniques, correct?
Correct. Yes, we are. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Robinette.
Thank you, Mayor. So Don, you know, I think I've said this before, you guys know where all the streets are and the ratings or gradings of all the streets. You know, I wanted to point out prior to this call, and I think I have on a couple other meetings, that, you know, just because council put forth a street, it doesn't mean that that's the street that was gonna get taken care of. I know one of the ones that I submitted isn't on the list, but certainly needs looking at, and there are plenty off of off of the list for CDBG that need tending to. The STP program, I know, so Councilwoman Griffin, your point about making sure that we have a strategic plan to address some of the bigger ones, you know, we've had a lot of success. Forestwood was one, I think that was STP. Carson, Harvey, and
Nesbitt Newton.
So we've had a lot of really good success, and not all of them have turned into raceways either. So knock on wood. But so there is that kind of strategic planning in place, both with STP funds and within our capital improvement program. So I agree, we should be looking at it holistically, and it would be nice to have, Mr. Boyce, if we could have a list of the streets and their current ratings, just so council can see when somebody calls in and says, this is a train wreck, we're like, oh yeah, it is. Yeah, we know. And we're kind of working on it. And you can come be heard at, you know, when we have our CIP meeting in October. So that's just my 2 cents on it, but I appreciate the work that you're doing for CDBG funds. And I know they're limited, and I just want to remind everybody, $155,000 for street repair for several streets is not a lot, so don't expect miracles.
Thank you, Councilwoman Robinette. City Manager.
I just wanted to make sure I addressed Councilor Griffin's concern related to ARPA funding. One of the reasons why it's really important to do public engagement, especially if we're, you know, interpreting something as like public safety into infrastructure, is it creates a stronger nexus to COVID, to issues of public safety, and then it's more likely that the federal government will be accepting of something like that. I just wanted to get that out there.
Nexus, explain that part just for me as
Yeah,
well
nexus.
as.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm using the bureaucratic language the federal government expects everybody to just know. Essentially, the idea of a nexus with a grant is the idea that you can prove there's a link between the project that you're undertaking with the grant funding and the intent of the grant. So, you know, they are the funding. So the intent of the ARPA funding is COVID relief. So, you know, COVID has impacted public safety, and something that, you know, is associated with public safety is transportation. So you see how you get a little bit more abstract and vague as you go down. So just making sure that we, you know, if we do public engagement and the public comes to us and says, you know, this is something really important to us, we'd really like the city to consider using some of the ARPA funds to do this project, then we're on a lot stabler ground when we approach the federal government about kind of detailing what we're going to use the funding for.
Okay, so this community engagement piece is going to be highly important if that's something that we as a community want to do. It's going to be really important for folks in the community to come out and actually verbalize that, so that we can actually, when it's time, like Mr. Osterberg said, you know, we can submit that information, our findings from the community to the government to let them know. Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay,
And I,
thank you. Clerk Pittman, do we have anyone who has submitted a comment or a hand raised?
Okay, so before I do that, we are required to note that a handout listing the eligible activities is available. It is linked to the agenda for this evening if anyone was not aware. So I did not have any submitted in advance, but I do have Mildred Kleins here with a hand raised.
Mildred.
Mildred?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I had a question for Mr. Boyce. So, I know that we've been groomed, Ferguson has been groomed to lean towards that CBDG money funds towards street repairs. I've observed over the years, and I don't know if y'all can remember that I've come to council before asking, because it always, to me tonight also, it always seems tonight that decisions have been made on how those funds are going to be spent. And I was just wondering, is tonight the night that you all are soliciting input from the community on how we would like the CBD G funds to be spent? Is tonight the night that we put our input in, Mr. Boyce?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, but it already is, to me, appears, because before, when I would come before council, they already had the money spent, and it almost sounds that way again tonight. But what I was going to ask was, has things changed? Because I've been here for a long time, for about 33 years. But before I lived in this community, I lived in another community where the funds were spent differently. And I was wondering, is it possible that our community here in Ferguson can re-envision how this CBDG funds can be spent? And a couple of years ago, I think I asked, could they use some of those funds to demolish some of the properties? You know, can you just reserve some? I know we can't demolish all the ones that need to be, but can some of those funds be used to demolish the properties that can't be rehabbed? And one of the things, excuse me, and so I want to know, had the eligibility requirements changed? Because in communities before, they've used those funds for what they call a 50-50 program. And I don't know if you're familiar with that. They've used it for, and I've been hearing years and years here in this community where neighbors are requesting the lights. They don't have enough lights in their neighborhood. So now I'm coming from a public safety standpoint. They don't have enough lighting in their neighborhood, which is a public safety issue. So, you know, I just want to ask if there's anything, I mean, the decisions that we make, you know, can we make them, I mean, and the streets repair is very important. I will agree, they are very important. But I don't know if funds can be found somewhere else for street repair, but and then like I've come across some neighbors where, you know, they can't afford all on their own. They have a program where if they got their driveway fixed, you know, half of it would come out of the CBDG funds and half of it would come from the homeowner. So those are the things that I'm asking is, can we spend those funds for something other than street repair, or can we save some of those funds? I know it's not a lot of funds, but we've always, every year, because we've been groomed to always use that money for street repair. That's all.
Okay, I did misspeak, Mayor. You all did get a petition from Miss Erica Brooks, and I believe she may want to speak on that. In fact, she has her hand raised.
Right, and also Miss Butler, she has her hand raised. Okay.
Good evening once again. I would like to piggyback off of what Mildred said about tonight's hearing. It more so sounds like we're here to hear what you all have chosen versus our input to say what we want to have done with the funds that we qualify for. So it's like the qualifications that you all have here in Ferguson are used, or demographics are used in order to empower your, the city council's, choices. And I'm not understanding what's the purpose of asking us to come hear you all and not actually hear what we have to say with the community, to say, we want to partner together with you all to know exactly what we need to spend the money with to empower our communities, to make it more livable, to make it a vibrant community, and not just have certain pockets of Ferguson be the heart of Ferguson, where everybody say, I love Ferguson, where make it a first impression or facade that Ferguson is the certain parts of Ferguson that's worth investing in. But besides that, when it comes to this street rating list that you have, I know they have Dade is not rated as 4. Now, Dade, if you want to talk about streets to invest in, you all very well know that my son and I, as you can see, this bus stop sign of me represents what it took in order to make sure that we retain access to public transportation. And if anybody rode down Dade, which I know the bus does every day, and as we were on that campaign to reserve that bus route, many of those people in the streets, I did not want to sign it because it shakes my infrastructure. I've talked to several people because I did another petition that went to the City Hall yesterday. That's to let them know, because the infrastructure, you have some homes that are dealing with infrastructure that's flooding home out. So when it comes down to think that funding should be placed in areas where it's very essential, and it does add to the economy of Ferguson. And so, like I said, Dade was recognized as a 4. So I'm not understanding why the ratings were not used in the places where streets should be actually done. Also, with that petition that I had 29 people to participate in the Plaza Heights on Mueller Plaza and Dade, the streets Plaza was rated as a 5. And then you have Mueller, which is my street, rated as a 6. And if anybody ride down these streets that got these ratings, you can guarantee that they'll tell you for 30 plus years that have told me these streets have not been taken care of, attended to for over that amount of years. And I also went back to the budget. And the first time that I even saw Dade, Mueller, and Plaza on the list was in 2008. So when it comes to looking at the necessity of our streets, we have the name of utility companies that are put on our streets, gashed holes in our streets, and they have not physically repaired our streets. So we're driving through holes like Miss Mildred said, we're tearing up our cars, and the city is not liable for that, but you're allowing these utility companies to come out here and do their business and leave us with a blighted community, along with the houses and the lots that the city owns, to where we're not it feels like we're not entitled to be able to have a beautiful community. Our investments are put into police service out here, fires, crime, speeding, all kind of other things that are not valuable and livable situations. And so, like I said, I am petitioning for you all to hear that this Plaza Heights, we haven't had any love in a long time.
You breaking up.
And so for the city manager, as well as Don Boyce, like I said, you clearly saying that you all talked to the city council people ahead of time. They've discussed what they wanted done. And then they said, what we got going on here, well, what we got going on here is pretty much a protocol. But like I said, if you all can, with those fundings that you have talking about, the money that's coming through here towards that street, the infrastructure up under it needs to be fixed. You talk to those people. I videotaped on Facebook showing the houses flooded out on that street. So please listen to us as a community, not have us listen to you, because it doesn't qualify as a public hearing when we just, receiving what you all have to say and not listen to us and our voice. But please listen to those 129 people between Plaza, Dade, and Mueller that said we need our streets are priorities. And I appreciate your time and effort. And also we were slated to have Dade done in 2019. It was an actual STP, an STP grant that was filled out by Matt as well as the former mayor, James Knowles, for this street to be actually done from Carson to Suburban, resurfaced. Talking about sidewalks, you're talking about bus stations be set up. All kind of things were put into place, and we were never given a real reason why this didn't follow through. So I would like for you all to take time out and try to take this situation and put it into play. I appreciate your time.
Okay, Cassandra Butler.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate what Mildred said. I do recall that meeting a couple years back, and I think, it is, we just need to be clear what kind of meeting this is. Is this a meeting so you can inform us how the money is going to be spent, or is there any citizen participation? And I know that $150,000 is not a lot to work with, and it's probably a small amount. But I do recall in that meeting some years back, it was said, oh, well, we don't, at this point in time, we're having this public hearing, but there's no time for us to get real citizen input. So we'll try to have something earlier before the deadline so we can get real community input. So I just wanted to put that back on the table. Just be clear with us what the public hearing is for. Again, I know it's not a lot of money, and chances are we almost have to spend it the way you're suggesting, but just tell us that and let us know the public hearing is just information purposes primarily, and it's really not for input. And if you want input, then, please have meetings, months before the deadline so we can have real input. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go back to Miss Mildred Kleins, then Councilwoman Griffin. The city manager has his hand up, then Councilwoman Lipka.
So Mayor, I don't have anything else. I couldn't figure out how to lower my hand. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
though.
Okay. Griffin?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to talk to the community for a bit because I'm hearing, the purpose of our public hearings is so that your voice can be heard. That's the whole purpose of it. I think what I'm getting, and maybe, maybe it's the fact that, the council was asked prior to, but that doesn't put any more weight on what it is that we want, because our decisions are based off of what it is that you want. And so I don't ever want you to think at any point in time when we have a public hearing that this is just for the purposes of you all listening to us say what we needed. It's the purpose of, for one, being transparent. And when you come to the hearing, if you have some streets, Erica, thank you very much for providing that information, because that's very important. These are things that were set up years ago that have yet to be completed. And so, you know, that information that you provided, your ability to speak during this public hearing is what brings to the attention the importance that of the work that needs to be done. And so I just wanted to specify for everybody, because I was getting that, you know, hearing that your voices are not being heard, and that's very far from the case. As you all are talking and commenting, you know, I know every last one of us are writing down comments. We're writing down those things so that we're paying attention to what you're saying. So your voices aren't being unheard at all.
Okay. I guess it's the city manager's turn.
I just wanted to address a comment of Erica's, that I did look into the STP grant that you're referring to for the DADE, and we were just unsuccessful in obtaining that grant. As to why we weren't successful in obtaining that grant, what I could find is that it's just one of those things that when you're applying for a federal grant, it's highly competitive and it's not guaranteed that you'll receive it, even if you have a good idea, which is why cities apply to grant processes year by year, because oftentimes we're kind of in a queue that we're not seeing to be eligible to receive those funds.
Okay. Councilwoman Lipka, then Councilwoman Robinette.
So I pretty much am just going to be reiterating what Councilwoman Griffin said. I mean, when we were approached, because our city staff has been told by us as council members, because we're told by citizens in text messages and emails and phone calls and everything else, and going to the grocery store and going to get gas, we get stopped by everybody. How come my streets are messed up? I need a better street. I don't care about my neighbor's street. My street's the one that needs to be fixed. This is what we hear all the time. So this is what we tell the staff. So then the staff finds a way to get some money, and they say, okay, we're going to get this done. And they say, I'm prioritizing streets because that's what the citizens are telling the council members. That's what the council members are telling us. And quite a few of you go, and we want you go over us and go right to city staff and tell them the same thing. Awesome. But that doesn't mean that we're making the decisions outside of you as a citizen. We think, and we're trying to do what we've been asked to do by you. Correct, Councilwoman Griffin? And so, you know, and Ms. Butler, when you made the comment that, you know, just tell us if we're not really having any input. No, you are having awesome input, because, you know, Mildred saying that we need to consider a possibility of setting money aside for lighting in the streets. I have definite streets in my ward that definitely need lighting. And that's a phenomenal idea. You are right. We get tunnel visioned on streets because that's the biggest priority that our citizens tell us. But when it comes to other things that are important, and you saying to us, hey, can we put some money aside to start looking at streetlight repair? Can we possibly look into the future of making a driveway repair program? Those are all awesome ideas. And that's what the public hearing is for, because if those things can fall within the CDBG funds, that needs to go on the agenda of a discussion going forward. So please don't feel like the public hearing doesn't matter. You do matter. So yeah, that's what I want you all to walk away with. I'm done. I'm stepping off my soapbox.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Robinette.
That's hard to follow. I'll try not to be so soapboxy. So I would like to say that, you know, Ms. Kleins, I hear you about that these funds can be used for other things. And I know that you talked about the demolition of houses, and we have made sure that we have kept that in the budget over the last few years as a priority to remove 10 houses. And now we have you know, a program in place for people that want to salvage those houses and, you know, rehab them. So we're looking at different ways to fund these things that need to be done that aren't just in CDBG. And I truly get your point that there are programs in other cities that are used in different ways. The streets is just one that we hear all the time. And Ms. Brooks, I just for what it's worth, the street that I inputted from just like the one street that I inputted was Dade. So it's not just you're not being heard. Again, there are priorities at play, and just because that street isn't on the list, clearly it was up for an SDP grant before. Clearly it needs work. This is something that hopefully we have the staff in place now that we can apply for STP funds in the future or whatever capital improvement plans going forward. So I don't want you to think that you're not heard, that Plaza Heights is being forgotten. I will say that Mueller and Plaza look better than Tiffin these days. So I was a little jealous when I drove down there the last couple of days. But I hear what you're saying, and Dade as a major thoroughfare is pretty torn up. So just again, we hear what the public is saying. I think I'm echoing every councilwoman's statements. We hear what the public's saying. We're trying to do the best with the budget that we have, and we do appreciate your input. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you. Clerk Pittman, do we have anyone else who would like to speak from the public?
No, I did get a request from Ms. Brooks to speak again, but I'm not sure if she's still interested in it, because Councilwoman Robinette, she did thank you for your comments.
Yes, I am interested, and I do want to tell her thank you for your, and like I said, if you want to make a drive down Mueller and Dade a little bit more, the graph in that area right there, because it's like a huge gash. It's several gashes. I turned in Mueller, so he has photos, vivid photos of everything where you see potholes, everything everywhere. So that's one thing. Also, in looking at the vision of Ferguson as far as the 2040 plan is concerned, and how African American people are included in this whole process, I mean, it's clearly saying that African Americans have been shortchanged in this community, whether it's housing, whether it's in the funding and everything else. But the thing about it is this right here: when it comes to making sure that we can at least see where the funds are going and coming into our community, every time you have these different block grants that's going on, you know, it would be so much better to be able to go down the street and know that you're not going to tear your car up. My A-frame in my car, I put shocks on my car. I so many different things that I've done with my old van. It's parked right now because it's I can't express.
We have.
Yeah, I think we've lost her.
Oh, we lost her. Okay. At this time, we will close the public hearing on the CDBG grant. We move to our consent agenda, city council meeting minutes, regular meetings, April the 20th, 2021, outgoing, April 20th, 2021, incoming, April 27, 2021, May 25th, 2021. Special meetings, April the 9th, 2021, April 17, 2021, April 22nd, 2021, May 24th, 2021, June 2nd, 2021, June the 4th, 2021. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, I request a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
So moved.
We didn't know it's so moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Heather Robinette.
Okay, all in favors, use the voting call of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The meeting minutes are accepted. We don't have any boards and commission meeting minutes. We don't have appointments at this time. We would like to go to our request for the annual liquor license. Clerk Pittman, you have the floor.
The only request is the one from the hearing that we had earlier today.
Okay. Is
Is that
there a
a-
motion in a second to approve the minutes? To approve the liquor license?
Can we clarify, Mayor? Are we
Okay,
voting?
Octavia, would you clarify the liquor license, please?
Yes, so it would be a liquor license for Vibes Daiquiri Bar.
And we're voting on that right now?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Is
you're
there
waiting on a
mo-
okay,
Is
that's what I was
there a
asking.
motion or a second to put this on the floor so we could vote it up or vote it down? I hear none. Is there a motion or is there a second? I hear none.
Nope.
Is there a motion? Is there a second? I hear none. This fails. Moving to the next item is our resolution. Resolution number 2021-27. Without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none. Attorney Carey, could you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2021-27. Resolution amending the authorized signers for UMB accounts.
City manager?
Do I just need to talk about the resolution?
Yes.
Yeah, so this resolution is just to update my name to be able to authorize the documents from UMB Bank on behalf of the city. This was a resolution drafted up by our finance director, Alexis Miller.
Okay. Is there a motion and a second for approval?
So moved, Linda Lipka.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Okay. Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Noah.
Aye.
Councilwoman Griffin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Nelson.
Aye.
Motion. Bills requiring first reading. Bill number 7214. Without objection, were introduced by council members present. Hearing none. Attorney Carey, please read the bill by title only.
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7214. An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit to Kevin Rhodes for the purpose of operating a barber shop at 1028 South Florissant Road, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
City Manager Eric Ostenberg, could you please explain?
Yeah, so this is the resolution approving the special use permit for Kevin Rhodes Barber Shop with the exemptions granted by the special use permit that Elliot explained earlier this evening.
This is a bill for the first reading. No action is taken at this time. Bills requiring second reading. Bill number 7211. I'm requesting a motion and a second to read the bill a second time and place upon the passage.
Brian Griffin, so moved.
Naquita Noah, second.
Attorney Carey, could you please read the bill?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7211. An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit to Marissa Ross, doing business as Lotta / Extensions, for the purpose of operating an eyelash extension studio at 9191 West Florissant Road, Suite 205, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
City Manager Oxenberg, you have the floor. Do you have anything to add?
I do not have anything to add. Elliot, do you have anything to add? This came up before I was here.
No, sir, I do not.
All right.
Council members, do you have any additional questions? Hearing none, Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilwoman Griffin?
Aye.
Sorry, I lost my list. Councilwoman Robinette?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson?
Aye.
And Councilwoman Noah?
Aye.
Bill number 7211 passes. Bill number 7212 requests a motion and a second to read the bill a second time and place upon its passage.
Brian Griffin, so moved.
Heather Robinette, second.
Attorney Carey, could you read the bill, please?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7212. An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit to Aaron's Inc. for the purpose of operating a rent-to-own store at 10740 West Florissant Road, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
City Manager, do you have anything else to add? He
I do
does
not.
not. Council member, do you have any additional questions? Hear none. Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Robinette?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah?
Aye.
Councilwoman Griffin?
Aye.
Bill number 7212 passes. Bill number 7213, I am requesting a motion and a second to read the bill a second time and place upon its passage.
So moved, Mayor Linda Lipka.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Attorney Carey, could you please read the bill?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7213, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to execute the deed and acknowledge other documents in order for the real property to be transferred to the city for city development and or beautification.
City Manager Eric, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Council, do you have any additional questions? Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah?
Aye.
Councilwoman Griffin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette?
Aye.
Bill number 7213 passes. The next item is, do we have any unfinished business?
Mayor, I have a couple of updates from staff. John
Okay.
Hampton, Chief Hampton was able to join us and he has an update for you as well as Elliot.
Great. Chief Hampton?
Mayor, Council, always a pleasure. It's good to be fire chief. I just want to let everybody know, we did receive the AFG grant for $65,000. This will, Yeah, this is a good thing because this will provide us with a new air cascade and at least two more thermal cameras to replace our aging cameras. So
That's
I
awesome.
know we've had it as a place marker for last CIPs, but hopefully now we can move forward. So, and then also today we got notified that we got a Missouri American Water Grant for $1,200. So we'll use
Yay.
that for some additional gloves or PPE for the firefighters. So that's my good news.
Yay.
Yep. So
Grants, thank you. Okay. Who's next?
Elliot?
Okay, just a brief reminder, this Saturday is the world's biggest yard sale. It's from 7:30 to 2. The maps and list of addresses are out. They're available at Hall's Market, the library, community center, and they will be available that morning at the farmer's market.
Can we still get in on it if we want to?
Yes, just you won't be on the map.
Story of my life.
Thank you, Elliot. The next item, do we have any new business? Hear none, we will move to our miscellaneous portion of the meeting, and we do have a closed session tonight. So we're going to start with Councilwoman Noor.
Okay, I won't talk too long. I just want to say that I do support the strategic planning, not just for streets, but for lighting, the tree trimming, the stump removal, because when citizens question, well, how come this and how come that? At least if we start strategically planning, then we'll have better responses. Also, I met with some citizens on Payne last week. And again, those were the questions, just like tonight. So I just want to let everyone know we are listening. You're not being ignored. It's just that we are working. We just have, our new city manager just started. So we're just all working together. So just please be patient. I should have said this in the last meeting, and I apologize, but I want to say it now regarding the property restoration program. I do definitely support it. I think it's a great program. Thank you, planning and development. But ultimately, it's going to be up to the homeowners and the landlords because it's our property, because there are so many complaints and concerns regarding the properties not being kept up. So I do support the investors coming in. Thank you for investing in Ferguson. However, to the new landlords, new homeowners, whomever, and I know that home repairs can be costly. I'm a single homeowner. However, it is, just no more time for excuses. We have got to better upkeep these properties. So I just want to say that to the landlords, the homeowners, the renters, whomever, we want to support, our community being the community of choice. And the way that the properties are kept up is very important. And lastly, to Mr. Young, he is a Ferguson resident. I met him a couple of weeks ago at a cleanup in Kinlock. He has roots from Kinlock, as I do as well. But he is a Ferguson Florissant's Teacher of the Year, and he's Missouri's Teacher of the Year, and he's a Ferguson resident. So I just want to commend him and say thank you, for your service. And his full name is, his last name is Young. His first name is, one moment, let me just pull it up. I have the post, sorry. Almost there. His name is James Young. Again, Ferguson Florissant, Teacher of the Year, and Missouri 2022 Teacher of the Year of Ferguson resident. So congratulations to him and thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Griffin.
Congratulations, Mr. Young. And yes, Ms. Noah, I am in full agreement with everything you said. We do need long-term strategic plans. We definitely do. I am just glad that now, we're at a place where we've got some stability in terms of our city manager. We've got somebody selected. We've got some ideas out there, and we are continuing to look for input and feedback on everything that we do. So I just want to encourage, the community to continue to stay engaged. I foresee us having some really neat, fun things coming up in the future where we can all participate, where, we all can put in, what it is that we think is important to us. And so I just appreciate everybody for staying engaged and encourage those of you that are engaged to reach out to other community members to let them know that, hey, we are looking to hear from you. We want you to participate in this process as we develop new things, new strategies, and new ways of addressing issues. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Robinette.
Yes, I'll keep my comments short. I would like to congratulate Councilwoman Lipka for Taste in Ferguson. Taste in Ferguson, right? It's funny because when I left to go pick up my boxes, my neighbors were coming home with their boxes and texting me like, "Oh my gosh, the selection is great." And I said, if you're not a vegetarian, it's great. But the desserts were awesome. So I ate those. But really, congratulations for putting together an event like that during a pandemic, the 2 years in a row of doing a drive-through for a good cause for our Ferguson youth. And I just want to appreciate how well it was set up, just in and out. It was great. I would also like to say my other neighbor who moved in shortly after the pandemic started. So I was like, as soon as I can talk to you in person, and it was just kind of that weird month after month that we couldn't get together and get to know each other. It's funny, he texted me and said, does the city do a yard sale? And just that, like the next day I got the email about the yard sale and I was like, yes, they're doing a yard sale. So now I think I'm a great council person and neighbor because I had the answer right there. So don't tell them any different, please. And as far as just listening to the community, and for the community that has stayed engaged, I know how hard it is to stay engaged when we can't get together and we can't see each other. And sometimes emails and texts can be very sterile. But I do want to say I really appreciate those that have gone above and beyond and stayed engaged and continue to reach out and continue to let their voices be heard. And I hope that there are others that may just be joining for the first time and, trying to figure out how to be heard. Reach out to us. I mean, if you reach out to the wrong council person, we'll take that and give it to the right council person. So we're here for the community, and I just want everybody to know that. And I appreciate all of you for stepping out and stepping up and giving us your feedback. And that's all I have. Mayor Jones, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lipka.
Like you've not heard me talk enough tonight, huh? I just wanted to agree with Nokita Noah and with Fran and Heather in the sense that, what we're trying to do as a council, now that we have a city manager in place, we have our police chief in place, we got our fire chief back where he wants to be. We've got our staff feeling a sense of calm now, and everybody's starting to learn new things. And we've also got new people in place who don't know the answer no. So that's awesome too, because when they're not going to get bogged down with the same old answers all the time. They're going to look at it and say, okay, let's try something new. And that's the mentality that we need new ideas. So, but the thing is, as we improve, we change, and people don't like change. So people say they want improvement, but then they don't want to change. So this is where we as a council have to say, we're changing. It's going to hurt. It's going to be different, but it's going to be better. And we're changing because you've asked us to, because you want this to be better. So, the whole intention of the 2040 plan, the whole intention of all these studies that we've done, the whole intention of branding and everything else is to create a livelihood in this community that offers itself up equally to all community members. And that in itself is also a change, because there's been too many years in the past where that wasn't offered up equally. And now it is going to be created in a manner that it is offered up equally. And so the littlest thing from saying, raising your hand and saying, hey, nobody cuts the trees on my street, to saying we need a whole new property restoration program, all of those things are designed to create an equal livelihood. And what Nokita Noah said when she said people have to be held accountable to maintain the level of livability that we are creating, I totally agree. So as we change, our enforcement will also improve. The other thing I want to say is thank you to everybody who participated in the Taste in Ferguson. We had a goal of 700 boxes and we sold out again. We sold out last year and we sold out this year. I just want to thank all the volunteers, all the restaurants that participated, all of the staff members that worked on creating this event, and all of the people who bought a box. We also had the Feed a Hero box this year, and we sold 100 hero boxes. So we delivered those to first responders and hospital workers. And it was so cool. I have to tell all of you this. I just remember this. I got a text message Sunday night, and it was from one of my softball players at McClure High School who grew up with my daughter. She was about 3 years younger than Sam. And so she always played on the softball teams with Sam, but she played up. So she was the youngest one on the team. And she followed in Sam's footsteps and she got scholarship. She was one of my very first scholarship recipients. And she texts me and she says, hey, did you guys just deliver food to Christian Northeast? I said, yeah. She goes, I'm here. I'm enjoying that. And my life came full circle, because here this whole event is created to give scholarships. And this is a recipient who's graduated and is now a healthcare worker, and she got to enjoy it. So it was just really cool. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. We are really looking forward to next year. It's going to be outside come hell or high water. And it's going to be our 10th year anniversary. So it's hopefully going to be a blowout. And finally, we want to say a big thank you to Javier Mendoza for coming back in from Nashville to play for us for the event. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to keep this really short and sweet. I also want to congratulate Mr. Young for the Teacher of the Year for Ferguson Florissant as well. I want to remind the residents about please continuing to stay engaged and continue to reach out to us because your voices do matter. Your concerns matter. All of the above, they matter. So please continue to reach out to your council persons. And also I want to encourage folks to please continue to get those applications for boards and commissions, because we still have spots available on some of the boards and commissions, and those are another way of your voices being heard, your concerns being heard as well. And it's important to have a seat at the table at some of those boards and commissions. So please, if you have the time and availability to do that, definitely register for the boards and commissions. There's still plenty of some seats out there for some of those boards and commissions. And I also wanted to say I attended the Forestwood Neighborhood Association meeting on September the 2nd and 7th, I'm sorry. And they had a speaker there from Great Rivers Greenway that talked about the mailing greenway that's coming to the area. And the citizens really asked a lot of great questions regarding the responsibility of the trail once it's put in, of the covering of their homes and different things like that, and knowing how far the trail goes. It was really good to hear them ask a lot of those important questions that they needed to know, and who's going to be held accountable for different things with that trail and it being going alongside their home. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Councilwoman Nelson. And I just want to say ditto to everything. I'm like Keith Kallstrom. He used to say ditto to everything. So I'm ditto tonight. At this time, we will have we will go into closed session. I'm requesting a motion and a second to go into closed session pursuant to 610.021 subsection 2 to discuss real estate matters. Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
I need the motion and second first.
Okay.
Heather Robinette, motion.
Nikita
Nelson,
Norton.
second.
Okay, so I have, I think two at the end, but I do have Councilwoman Robinette and Councilwoman Noah. Okay, so Councilwoman Lipka, I'm calling the roll now. Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah. Aye. Councilwoman Griffin,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. I'd just like to say good night to everyone and council. We do have a Zoom link for the closed session. Good night.
And everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Night.